A warm welcome to you, students of economics, to this video lecture. As you can see, we are starting with a new topic, which is titled Human Capital Formation in India. Sometimes it seems a bit strange to hear the word human along with capital, because we always consider that capital is something that is inanimate or not having life. And here we are teaming the two words human and capital together to kind of give a human face to what capital, in terms of its use to humans, is concerned. Here's an overview of what we will be dealing with in this teaching module. We start with a story, we go on to learn some key definitions, and then we go on to differentiate between some concepts. Here you have a picture of a girl, a student just like you, and what strikes you so much is her eyes. There's hope in those eyes, there's confidence, there are dreams, goals to be achieved. So she symbolizes many of us who have goals in our lives, something that we want to do in the future. Every person has a dream. You have one, so do I. Every young person like you has a goal to achieve. I'd like to ask you a question. What do you want to be? Maybe you're even asking yourself that question still. What do I want to be? What do you want to do for the rest of your life? You're asking yourself the same question. What do I want to do for the rest of my life? I need to do something to equip me to make me somebody in the future, right? Essentially, you want to be a successful person in your life. You want to be a success story. Well, here I have for you a very recent success story. One of a young girl, Gitanjali Rao, a 15-year-old Indian American scientist and inventor. Yes, you heard me right. A 15-year-old scientist and inventor. She was named by Time magazine as the first ever Kid of the Year. The magazine cited her ability to use technology to tackle issues ranging from contaminated drinking water to opioid addiction and cyberbullying. Gitanjali Rao, who featured on the cover of the latest edition of this magazine, was selected from a pool of over 5,000 nominees. In an interview with actor Angelina Jolie, this Colorado teenager spoke about her innovations and shared a message for other young people. What is a message for you? If I can do it, anybody can do it. I want you to watch a small clip on this wonderful personality so that you are motivated and inspired to be a part of the rat race of the world of the future, so that you too may be motivated to do something special for the world.
I'm a very curious person, if that's one thing you need to know about me. I love learning about the environment, ecology. Everything is just of such interest to me. I just like learning in general, so everything in school is actually super fun. I cannot see a world filled with kindness without science and technology being involved.
Good, everybody's gone. Now we can talk. Where are you right now?
I'm in Denver, Colorado.
Well, congratulations to the first ever Kid of the Year. You have a brilliant mind, clearly, but you are very, very generous with that mind and information, and that's just really wonderful.
What is the invention?
So I created a device called Tethys.
Each and every one of us have the right to know what is in our water and have access to clean drinking water. And this fully functional device can help with that.
Tethys is a device that detects lead in drinking water faster and more inexpensive than the current methods out there today. It's based on carbon nanotube sensor technology and provides all the results to your mobile phone on an app that I created. My inspiration behind it was actually the Flint water crisis. It was just so unacceptable that kids my age were essentially drinking a poison every day, and I realized that something really needed to be done to help solve that problem. I don't think I can say there was like an aha moment where I was like, this is what I want to do. It was rather just like this continuous like learning and loving more about STEM and science and technology. But I can tell you a huge changing moment in my life was about, I want to say when I was 4 or 5 years old, my uncle got me a chemistry kit, and I felt the need to finish the whole thing in one day, and I did. A lot of my devices are based on biology, chemistry, physics, computational method. This process, it's usually spread over a couple of months, even years. It's just based on how I feel about it and how I get inspired by something. I don't force myself through the process. I don't do anything to accelerate it. I do it at a pace which makes me feel excited and makes me want to keep going. See, that's the biggest thing about innovation is if you don't have that motivation and drive to keep going, it's gonna be dry. It's not gonna be something you enjoy doing or anybody else is going to enjoy hearing about. 2020 has really helped me be a kid. Obviously, I do need fresh air, so I go on bike rides a lot. I fence. I did a lot of virtual fencing. I fenced a lot of pillows. I baked a lot, an insane amount. Calligraphy is now a thing I do. Our family is a huge world traveling family. I've been to a lot of countries. I want to say about 14. Where I want to go. I know we're not gonna go here anytime soon, but Madagascar. It's such a cool place. I'm just obsessed with animals and free, wild, roaming things. The dinosaurs are probably my favorite animal, hands down. There's so many of them, and they're so cool. If someone figures out how to make dinosaurs come back to life, please call me or email me. I can tell you a couple lasting words that stayed with me. Miss Stockdale, who was my teacher when I was in 2nd grade. The first time she met me, she told me that I was going to change the world. I've been wanting to change the world, and hopefully I am changing the world.
What do you think contributed to Gitanjali's success story? What made her a contributor to the world's welfare? It could be the opportunities. It could be her education, her training. It could be her state of health. It could be her environment, what her parents provided her with. It could be her upbringing, the way she's been brought up, motivated, inspired to be an achiever. I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. Is she an asset to her country? Can she be considered as capital? Yes, she is a part of human capital. She is even now in the process of being formed as human capital. And so she becomes an important human resource. You and I are a part of human capital. Some like you are in the making. Others like me are already a part of human capital, but perhaps still in the making. And so I say, human capital formation is an ongoing, continuous process. Even though I may be a teacher, I'm already a professional, I will still enhance my abilities, my craft, by research, by training more, by studying more, studying further, getting more degrees, reading a lot, and equipping myself for the latest in my craft. And so human capital formation is a continuous process. So today we're going to learn about this very valuable resource that every economy has at its disposal, and that is human capital. You see various terms that are associated with the word human capital. You can see the words job, skills, assets, work, time, value, training, social generation, labor, business, talent, success, workforce, market, resources. These are all keywords that have something or the other to do with human capital. So let us try to define what is human capital. It refers to the population equipped with the skill and resources to participate in the process of economic growth and development. So when people are equipped with knowledge, training, expertise, skill, and thereby enabling them to participate in the process of economic growth and development, that kind of population would be a part of human capital. As we go along, I'd like to quote Ken Robinson. He's a British author and advisor on education in the arts to the British government. He says, human resources are like natural resources. They are often buried deep. You have to go looking for them. They're not just lying around on the surface. You have to create the circumstances where they show themselves. So, creating human capital, in other words, takes a lot of effort, time, and energy, and thinking, and planning. It just doesn't come about by itself. People need to be helped so that they are enabled to be a part of human capital. What is human capital formation? Well, it is the process of acquiring and increasing the number of persons who have the skill, education, and experience which are essential for the economic and political development of the country. Having already defined human capital, let's pit that definition against the definitions of financial capital and physical capital. Well, what is financial capital? Stocks, shares of companies, bonds, debentures, or simply financial claims against the assets of companies is a part of financial capital. What is physical capital? Physical capital is the stock of produced means of production, like machines, production plants, tools, etc. And of course, human capital implies the population of a country that possesses skills and expertise to participate actively in the economic activities of the country. We have just defined what financial capital is all about. And as opposed to human capital, the term synonymous with financial capital would be financial savings, earnings from investments. Human capital, the terms synonymous with it would be career, earnings from a job, profession, or business of a person or a group of people. And so examples of financial capital are mutual funds, stocks, bonds, commodities. These are simply financial claims against assets of companies. Here we have some examples of physical capital. You have the machinery that is used to produce other goods like vehicles and so on. You have integrated plants, factory buildings, sheds, machines, tools and equipment, infrastructure that is used to build and produce, computer hardware and software, logistics, all that is used in the industrial sector, as well as all the machinery like tractors, harvesters that are used in the agricultural sector would form a part of the physical capital. And so we see that human capital refers to the population of a country, the human resource of a country that possesses skills and expertise to participate actively in the economic activities of the country. So you have different kinds of workers that are all a part of human capital of a country. And when we're talking about skill, it means the experience, ability, growth, training, knowledge, learning, competence that is involved in a particular profession or career of a person. When we talk about expertise, it could be the practice, the experience, the talent, the ideas, and the intelligence that is behind a particular human resource. Here are some examples of human capital. You have doctors, scientists, teachers, engineers, farmers, and unskilled workers in the industrial service sector. Now let us differentiate between human capital and human development. They are two different terms having altogether different meanings. What is human capital as opposed to human development? Human capital considers education and health as a means to increase labor productivity. That means human capital is just like any other capital, like financial or physical capital, and is treated that way to help to bring about an increase of labor productivity. So here human capital is just a means of production. Whereas in human development is based on the idea that education and healthcare are important for human well-being, which means that human beings are not a means to achieve something else, but human beings are an end in themselves, and that all education and healthcare is just to improve human welfare. Human capital treats human beings as a means to achieve an end. However, human development considers human beings as an end in themselves. Any investment in education and health is unproductive if it does not increase the output of goods and services. So the onus here is on labor. Whereas in human development, human welfare should be increased through investment in education and healthcare, even if it doesn't lead to high productivity. So you see how different human development as a concept is from human capital. In human development, it is a human being that is important, whereas in human capital, human beings are just a means to achieve an end, that is production. Now moving on to study the difference between human capital and physical capital. Human capital formation is a social process, right? It involves human beings who live in society. And so formation of human beings is a social process. Whereas physical capital formation is a technical and economic process. Human capital is intangible and essentially cannot be separated from the possessor. It is inbuilt in his mind and body. For example, for me as a teacher, you cannot separate me from my expertise, my skill, and my ability to teach. It is inbuilt inside of me. Whereas physical capital is tangible and of course can be separated from its owner. You can separate a machine from the owner of the machine. Human capital is not perfectly mobile between countries. Culture, nationality, and family acts as an obstacle in the path of mobility of labor. It is not very easy for human beings to skip from one job to another or from one country to another in search of jobs. Whereas physical capital is perfectly mobile between countries, except of course in the case of trade restrictions. In human capital, depreciation takes place, but that is only because of aging. Whereas physical capital depreciates on account of constant use of wear and tear. So today we have learned about human capital, physical capital, financial capital, and human capital formation. We've learned about these key concepts and we have defined them. As well as we have differentiated between human capital and human development. We also covered the difference between human capital and physical capital. According to Alan Schweier, he says that human capital is a core corporate asset, just like financial and physical assets. As such, it must be managed the way companies manage other assets. This requires thinking strategically about how to invest in human capital and figuring out how to optimize and measure its return. So here's something to think about till the next video lecture. What are the key things you will need to do so that you become a part of human capital? That will bring us to really understand what are the sources of human capital. I also want you to think about other examples of human capital, physical capital, and financial capital. And now it's quote time as usual. Here is a quote by Peter F. Drucker. He says, "The ultimate resource in economic development is people. It is people, not capital or raw materials, that develop an economy." This is a very important thing to think about. After all capital, all goods are for the welfare or service of people. And so it is people that are most important in any given economy. Another quote, "The economic development of the world depends on human capital. India has the numbers, talent, and motivation." This quote is by Mark Zupan. So let me leave you with these two things to think about so that you keep thinking over the topic and you're ready for the next class. Thank you so much, students, for giving me a listening ear.